Hey everyone, Thyworm here. This time I'm bringing you my thoughts on the new league that Path of Exile is bringing to us. August 18th we can enjoy the Trial of the Ancestors. I made a few notes, let's dive in. The biggest selling point of the Trial of the Ancestors is the actual trial itself, the league mechanic. What you will be doing is traveling to the Karui afterlife, where you will meet all sorts of Karui tribes. There are 10 of them, and I'm sure if you ever want to know the information and the lore around all 10 of those, just go watch some Kit and Cat Noodle videos. She's super good at all of it. I've been watching everything that she has to offer. She was at ExileCon too, very cool to see that. That's that about the lore, but what this basically is an auto battler. Which brings me to sort of two observations that I have. The first is that, once again, GGG is trying to sort of blend their own hack and slash ARPG genre with other existing genres. They've done this in the past, successfully or less successfully, I'll leave that up to you. But for example, the Blight League was basically a tower defense mode in an ARPG. We've had Sanctum not too long ago, which is a roguelite, and now we get an auto battler. And I feel the interesting part here is that they don't really try to turn their entire game into a new mode, as you would have with Curse of the Dead Gods, for example, right? That is a roguelite ARPG, which works, but then your entire game is roguelite. But here they try it out for a league and then part of the game all of a sudden is roguelite. Or in this case, part of the game all of a sudden is an auto battler. All the genres that they could pick, right? An auto battler. I mean, up next is Survivors. You have to do it, right? I can't see a way where they don't have a Survivors game within PoE with you just, auto-attacking, ward looping, whatever it may be by default, ice spikes all over the place, like you name it, but you are the bullet hell. Enemies come from all directions and you are just mowing everything down while standing still. Kind of cast on crit, cast on crit frostbolt, that kind of bullshit, right? I can't wait for that, that is just a small prediction. The other observation is that if you look at the league mechanics, typically they consist of two different versions, if you will. There is typically a sort of in-map league mechanic, like Blight, for example, or Metamorph, or Sentinel, right? You run your map as you normally would, and the league mechanic happens inside of the map, or at least the vast majority of it. And the other league mechanics, they are sort of outside of the map, which makes it kind of interesting. I think these are typically things like Delve, Heist. They tend to be a little bit bigger. I think also because if they're a little bit bigger, that means that they don't really fit within the context of a map. Blight is fairly easy, right, to oversee. Sentinel, very easy to oversee. But something like an auto battler, how would you ever put that inside of a map? You simply wouldn't, right? So that's not what's going to happen. You're going to find an item inside the maps, just as you find Sulfurite or whatever it's called to get your card going in Delve, or just as you find a contract to do Heist. Now you will find a silver coin which brings you to the Karui afterlife, where you can do the auto battlers. And I like it, the symbolism behind it. The silver coins are what people used to put on the eyes of the dead for the ferryman, right? The ferry guy who traveled you across the river of souls into the afterlife. Similarly, you click on the silver coin and it will bring you to the Karui afterlife. And the silver coin used to be the coin that you would turn into Navali, the Prophecy League. You had Navali, an NPC, she's back for this league. And so is a lot of the prophecy. I'll get to that, but I really enjoy the overall sort of lore and return of the old Prophecy League, but then in a bit of a different format. I think it's very clever And yeah, I was reading all of it, and it really made me sort of feel warm inside, thinking about how they've done this in a very sort of elaborate and sophisticated way. So talking a bit more about the actual auto battler system, we don't know too much about it. There's a little bit of footage available, but it is basically like any auto battler. I haven't played many of those, to be honest, but you place your troops quite strategically, if we have to believe Chris Wilson. And you can also fight along yourself, which is interesting to say the least. So you might be able to completely overpower whatever is going on there. We'll have to see what the balancing is like, and otherwise they probably fix it 2 leagues down the road. But let's say everything works as intended. You place your troops, you click start or begin or whatever you click, and you just go to town. It's a double elimination match that was set on ExileCon, meaning that you can lose a tournament once, but then the second time you lose within the tournament, you are out. More interesting are currently the rewards. I would say there are quite a few of rewards that you can earn across the game. There are, as always, in-mechanic rewards. For example, in Delve you have similar thing, right? Azurite buys you more sulfurite stash, it buys you more explosives. You have a similar thing over here. I don't know what the currency is called. It might be called favor, but you earn favor with the 10 different Karui tribes, and you can use that favor to buy better warriors for your team, buy power-ups, skill-ups, upgrades, that kind of thing. So those are the in-mechanic rewards, similar to like relics in Sanctum, that kind of thing. There's character power. You have tattoos that you can put on the passive tree, which is interesting because these tattoos replace your regular sort of small attribute traveling points, the plus 10 strength, plus 10 dex, into something else, movement speed, mana reservation efficiency, those kinds of things. So that could be very interesting, although at some point you do need attributes, so it'll be a balancing act. There will be omens, which I think is interesting. Once again, also lore wise, omens are a combination, in my opinion, between charms of Diablo 2 and the prophecy's items that we had in prophecy, which would trigger if certain conditions were met. And these are omens. They sit in your inventory. I think you can have only one of them in your inventory, or at least only one of them can trigger per map or per zone. And if you meet certain conditions, the omen triggers, it is consumed, and then whatever the omen states happens. It's interesting, once again, using that sort of foresight and prophecy, the whole silver coin thing. One of the examples is, for example, Cast on Death Portal. It generates a portal when you die, and then it consumes the omen. That's pretty useful. I would like that omen. The final reward we get is Hinekora's Lock. This is an item that shows you how a craft is going to be. I am not a big crafter. I cannot tell you how powerful this is, but I heard from others who are big crafters that it is absolutely insane. So look out for that. It might be worth a lot of money in the trade league. Who knows? There are unique rewards as well. There are 10 tribes. Each of the tribes have their own unique item, which I think is pretty cool and adds some more identity to these tribes. And then the final boss, or the boss within the league, will be Hinekora once more. And I think it's a she. She will drop 4 unique items. So all in all, plenty of uniques to go around. But there is more. This is just the league mechanic, which is pretty extensive. We are getting the return of Sanctum. Now I am extremely happy with this. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed running Sanctum in solo self-found, because I typically play solo self-found. I don't really trade too much. So I played solo self-found in Sanctum League as well. Had a ton of fun with all these relics and these runs, and trying to come up with a character that could actually do all 4 floors. The entire thing is back. The only thing that is not back are the sanctified relics, because those are the relics that you could slot into your own character. It was an extra inventory slot. That is not coming back. That had massive character power as well, so that would probably be a nightmare to balance. they left those out. I think that's completely reasonable. However, all of the other relics are back. They did return, so you can once again make your own relic stash and, you know, set up your character for success within the Sanctum. If you don't like running Sanctum and you play Trade League, everything is now tradable, including the Sanctum run itself. It keeps all the modifiers, it keeps your resolve. Very interesting, I would say. And on top of this, they did a bit of a rebalance, a bit of an overhaul, as they typically tend to do when they put stuff and put it back into the core game. The main change that seems to happen is that now your defenses are also taken into account when running Sanctum. So evasion, armor, and I think dodge and energy shield as well. Very interesting. We'll see how it pans out, but I can't wait to run once again into the Sanctum and probably die at the first couple of times. But hey, that's how it works. That's how it's designed. So yeah, next league, a roguelite, a tower defense game if you want, and even an auto battler. And then we close off with a few more interesting things. For example, 16 new Atlas keystones. The Atlas keystones are the keystones that make your Atlas really personalized. If you like running Sanctum, well, I'm not sure if Sanctum is in there, it might not be the best example. If you like Expedition, you can take and spec into the Atlas passive trees into Expedition, making it more rewarding, making it easier, making it occur more often in your maps. You can really tweak the game to your heart's content. Most of the older League mechanics that do occur naturally in maps are in there. Even the side areas, for example, the file side areas are in there if you're interested. It's a great system already, and it will add 16 new Atlas passive keystones. So you can customize the whole thing to your heart's content once more. We're getting more. There will be 14 new support gems. A few of them already got released, and everything more, well, not everything, but most of the stuff you will hear in the next couple of weeks. The GGG devs remade the entire Chieftain and the Guardian. Now, I don't really play those guys at all, so I am not an expert, nor will I pretend to be able to say anything useful about this. I've watched some other content creators, however. Big Ducks was very impressed with Chieftain. Captain Lance thought it was the most horrible ascendancy that he could imagine and is begging the devs to make changes. So I don't know, I guess the truth is somewhere in the middle, it depends on who you believe. I might just play one of these because I'm gonna play solo self-found anyway. I'm gonna take this like at my own pace, and I don't really care if I fail. Last and I guess kinda least, there's a boss kill event, I think in hardcore, solo self-found. Not Ruthless this time, the regular game. But hey, if you are into that, be my guest, I hope you do well. And that is all I had for you for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this once again. The video of yesterday did super well, so I'm happy about that. Hopefully the sound is better. I placed the microphone a little bit away from the camera, hopefully less interference, but who knows. For now though, enough ranting. This was just to show you my appreciation. I hope you once again have a great evening, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching, making it to the end. See you all. Love you. Bye bye.